Hello everyone, welcome into the session. Let's start then. So the topic is conflict resolution, right? So what we will do is we will try to understand. We have again four parts of the session. First, we will try to spend some time on understanding. Then we pick one conflict, and then let's see. You guys will be talking about that conflict. After that, we will talk about the structure, conflict resolution, the ways how we should work on a different kind of a conflicts, and then we'll again do we will just pick one example of a conflict, and then we will try to implement what we discuss in those ways of conflict resolutions or techniques and the approach, and then let's see if there is any difference in the first scenario and the second scenario, right? So that's all we will cover in the next 1 hour of session. So, can anyone just first start and tell me what is the conflict? What different kind of conflicts, or if can you relate or share any example? It's not mandatory; it should be your profession. It could be anything. Can anyone just talk about this?
Conflict is basically disagreements or clash or difference in opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be with respect to anything, with respect to ideologies, thoughts, the way we want to get things done. Could be anything. There's one opinion, and then there's always something that's different from others. And if you're disagreeing,
Example?
there's a conflict.
Any example?
Uh, okay, let's say I want my sandwich to be done like this, and then my mother wants it to be done in a different way, and then she's like, no, you have to get it done like this, and then we are in conflict. Like, okay, no, I want it like this, you want it like that, and uh eventually you try to come to a way. You're like, okay, either we'll do it my way or your way, or we'll add one or two ingredients from each of our recipes, and then everybody's happy.
And why did you ever try to understand like why we have the conflict? Like let's take the same example of the sandwich.
uh
Why we have a
different
conflict?
I mean, we have different likes, and we have different. I mean, for sandwich, yeah, we have different likes, and we want different ingredients. And like in general, I think we come from different. I mean, even though she's my mother, we have different ideas. We're brought up in different generations. We are brought up with different environment and surroundings, right? So
Okay, that is the one that could be one of the reasons.
yeah,
Is there any other reason on the same scenario? The approach, the thought process, where might be we are thinking and we are prioritizing the taste and we are choosing the ingredient for a better taste, while our parents they are more focused on towards our health and they are choosing ingredients to just give us some good ingredients where which will be beneficiary, right? So the
yeah,
point of
that's
view is also different, right?
yeah,
And
that's true.
in this case they both are right.
Yeah,
The only thing is the priority is different, right?
yeah,
Same thing happen when we are doing the when we are saying there is a conflict in professional career, right? In professional life, when we have a conflict with our teammates, when we have a conflict with our managers, with our leadership, the approach they might be having a different approach, we might having a different approach. So we are not saying you are incorrect, I'm right, or I'm incorrect, you are right, right? There is some kind of a we have to just understand why we both have the conflict and how we both can be mutually reach at a stage where we can be discuss on this. Anyone else want to add on this definition of the conflict, or else we will just try to work on one example.
Conflict management, when we say we have to arrive at a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I can give an example also. I
Mm-hmm.
had a talk with my father-in-law. So there he goes to blame. If it was before me becoming a scrum master, I was I used to shy away and then accept, and then I will not be in a talking terms actually. But
Mm-hmm.
now being so much into now resolving everything, and the way we look at things in a matured manner, then we understand the situations and come to a common agreement, and then it's a win-win situation. And this time I found a lot of changes in myself, that we were actually talking with each other, discussing, and then arriving at a common point. So that is a kind of how I think conflict management. In a When it comes to professional, that's a different, but it is overall making changes in our personality as well.
Okay, correct. Let's do one thing. Let's try to discuss one conflict scenario. Okay, and then we all will be try to play different roles, and then let's see like what is your take on this particular scenario, right? We will take in a professional scenario because that is the where we are generally facing more, right? So, and there are different conflicts, like conflict with the customers, conflict with communications. Generally, when we did not communicate anything, and then it's messed up the major or some high critical stuff, and then people start blaming the things, right? Then managerial conflict where we are not having alignment with our managers. Then work style where we have like two people, they have the different way of working, and then but they have to work together for the same project and for the same client, then they will be having a lot of conflicts. So how we will do that? Then task conflict we have. Then group conflict when we have, like when we are doing any kind of a team activity. Let's take, and the best example which we can take, like when we are doing an estimations for a particular work which we have to do it, where we have different kind of opinions. So we will take one scenario of managerial conflict where all of us are facing, right? No matter we are coming from which background, we all facing the managerial conflict. So let's talk about this. I will give you a scenario, and you just, because this is appraisal time, so this is the right topic to choose, right? So this is your appraisal month. You get a rating, and you get a rating of 2 out of 5. Right now, you have a meeting with your manager because you are not happy with the rating which you received, and now you are in a meeting where you have to be mutually aligned or agreeing something with your manager, right? On the rating and stuff. So how you will be trying to derive this discussion with your manager, because now there is a conflict on your performance. So how you will be trying to tackle this? What should be your approach? Can anyone just take it? Or we will hear everyone. Let's see who wants to start first.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Probably to begin with, once we get our rating, we need to collect our proof. We need to have our emails or any appreciation if we have got. And if we are a Scrum Master, and if the team's performance, if team has got some appreciation, or what all deliverables we have done so far. So we have to collect all those things, and then we have to schedule a meeting with the manager one-on-one to say, to discuss about the appraisal, and then we have to go and we need to probably check. So from his end, probably first. So I say given 2 points out of 5, and then if we are not agreed, definitely we are not in agreement. So we have to tell our points that these are the things that we have done, and I feel we might have put already in the tool that these are the things, these are the achievements we have done whole year, kind of. So apart from that, why he has given, we need to understand. And then based on the situation, we need to discuss about, okay, this is what I have achieved. So we are not, so we are worth for at least 4 points or whatever. Goes fine there.
Okay. Anyone else? Any different approach? Who wants to go next?
Okay, I'll speak.
Mhm.
I recently gone through the same case. So when the ratings were discussed with me via my manager, the time he discussed with me, I wasn't agreeing to it because before the rating got generated, I have informed him about all the user appraisal, recognition, everything was handy with him. Still, based upon like one client feedback, you cannot go and just give the ratings. So there I had a conflict with him. I asked him the proofs which were against me so that at least I can justify my answers. Whenever they say like clients are not happy with you, at least they need to loop us so that we will also get to know where we were lacking. If there's no proof on just a statement, if you are doing so, it is not good. So there were no proofs with them. They were just saying like your attitude or soft skill is a problem. Then I said, if only the soft skill is required, then why do we work? It's just we can be like a smiley face in front of all and we can get a 5 to 5 rating, 5 on 5 ratings. So there I had a conflict with him. So he said, I do have and I cannot change it. So the next step which I have taken was putting the resignation on that day itself. So yeah.
Okay, that's a quite extreme. We will talk about all of these as well. Who want to share next?
Hi, I will go next. Actually, recently nothing happened with me for this appraisal cycle, but yeah, a year ago, previously the same thing happened with me. Actually, the one thing in the last moment something will happen and that will get highlighted and other will get, all the things will get neglected when it comes to give the feedback. So only that one pointer, all your team, let's suppose you have done 90% good work and just 1% will down your rating, and that on that time only that thing will be highlighted, nothing else will be highlighted. But also in that feedback I also share like we should get the real time feedback so that the things which are highlighted in the end, that should not come up on that time, because we are working in a project almost a year ago, right? Everything was going smoothly, some exceptional things came out from the client, but that was handled so lightly because that was a requirement and the change and the work is going very smooth. But in the end, on that time the thing which come up and that was escalated in that manner, like it was a highly shocked thing this has been happened. But so if the things are like that, so my opinion is like we should get at least a real time feedback on that time if you are thinking. But let's suppose that, so that the person can also improve on that. Don't show it on that time when the appraisal will happen, so that conflicts usually happens.
Okay, let's hear if anyone else want to add this, and then we will talk about how you guys are sharing and then what we can do in this scenario. We will discuss the same scenario and the resolution again when after the session, right? Anyone wants to add? Sugandhi or Shivanjali?
It pretty much what we,
Yeah.
how we reflect. I was actually facing that issue some years back. But I try to give every proof that this appreciation and everything, but they still go on that one point that the client is not happy. But I can show like 10 mails where client is happy, but they will catch that one point where client was not. There's an escape defect or something like that from the team not delivering. We could. I was not able to win over that situation there.
Okay.
Okay.
My first
Lesson
question,
learned would be probably we need to get a frequent feedback so that there should not be any surprises towards the end.
did anyone have the ratings change after the discussion?
No. Never
No,
happened.
nothing happens.
No, right? And this is the scenario which we all are facing at least either every year or at least once in 2 years or 3 years, right? And we are facing in a different companies as well. So even we can't blame one manager, right? We can't blame one organization, because this is a scenario which we are saying we are facing everywhere. We all face, we all are working in different companies. We all are coming from a different kind of a professional experience. We all face the same, where we have a different kind of a approach of dealing this, right? But why we have a same, why, I mean, we, none of us ever try to resolve or ever try to win these situations. When I ask this question, we all are focused about what happened during that meeting, right? All of you shared, okay, this happened, that happened. The one thing is you prepare, right? As Sujana said, when you're going in these kind of things, you should have a data in handy, which you said, okay, you have the emails, client emails, you have the numbers, team's performance, and everything, you can do that. But even those things are not helping out, right? And some of you are definitely face these things in back-to-back performance meetings. Like, it's not like you face only once in a year. If some of you are having quarterly meetings or half yearly meetings, or like once in a year, you will face every year or like every quarter these kind of things, right? The reason is because we are only focusing on that meeting. We are only focusing on what happened in the past, why we get the rating, and we hardly talk about, okay, let's first work together. You are my manager, have to report you. Next time I want to improve this, tell me how we can do that, and you have to tell me how frequently we can work on the areas where we need to improve, where I need to improve, right? See, when you're saying I'm not accepting those ratings, those are not in my favor, those discussions never help. These kind of arguments will not change your rating, right? So even if you're doing that, it's fine. You're just sharing your own perspective, but then you have to prepare for the next time. One thing which you already get to know, like how frequently we can connect. If your manager is only connecting once in a year, and it's not manager's fault, it's our fault as well, right? If you think you have to improve, ask your manager to set up a meeting every month, right? Don't wait your manager will set up a meeting every month. Set up a meeting every month. If he's busy, try to reschedule, but make sure you have 12 meetings in a year. And the topic in all 12 meetings should be the same: your monthly performance, your next month goal. And then when you're meeting next month, ask your manager how much you performed on that month of goal, right? So the approach which we have to change it. Now we will talk about one framework, and then you guys can easily relate of this scenario. Then we will talk about the ways of conflict resolution, and then let's see, we will discuss the same example, or we'll pick some other example and see if any one of you really want to drive it in a different way. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so we will talk about, this is the agenda of this meeting. This one we already discussed. This one we will now discuss now, and then we will talk about these two as well. So let's move and try to understand this. So this is basically, just a second. This is this technique where in this y-axis you can see what you want or what you really get in your expectations, and the x-axis basically what they want or what they get from their expectations. When I say they, means the person whom you have a conflict, right? So there are different areas where we are thinking and where we should be thinking, right? Now let's talk about this. So this is the first section, and here the focus is, which we can try, is avoiding. When you have a conflict with the other person, and we are also doing that, couple of us are doing that, you will try to avoid the situation, particular situation where we have an argument, right? We think, let's avoid this argument is not helpful for me, and this will be a win-win situation for both of us. Basically, you don't want this, but we have to do it. This is the reason, because we don't want to be in that conflict for a long time period. But this should not be the approach. Then we have the next one, which is accommodating, where we have, what we are doing is we are compromising from our want, like what you want, you are just compromising on that part, but you're giving the other person, okay, let him win. If we have a conflict, okay, it's fine, you win, I lose, but let's resolve the conflict. In this situation, what we are doing is we are just saying, okay, it's my fault, okay, and I apologize for that, and you win. You are having a very right approach. Your solution is really great. We should implement, or we should go with your thought process or your idea. What we are doing here is we are completely quitting ourselves. We should not do this as well, right? Because if we are doing this thing and if we are accommodating, what we are doing, we are losing our own self-respect. We are losing our own confidence. So even if you are having these kind of attitude, that will also not help for you for a long-term perspective. Then we have another one. Let's talk about this. This one is dominating. Can anyone give me any example of dominating? Where we have a conflict. We have a lot of examples in our personal life, professional life. We're saying people are dominating in nature, right? Can anyone give any example?
When I got a 2 rating,
Mhm.
I actually the whole year was very good.
Mhm.
Just the final time they got a review from the client, feedback from the
Mhm.
client. The
Mhm.
client gave all positive reviews, but in
Mhm.
one point he has said that communication, in the sense that I was not communicating. Like, suppose he's giving me some work,
Mhm.
I was a tester back then. This happened some 8 years ago. So,
Mhm.
like I was supposed to do some 5 to 8, 10 test cases, and then
Mhm.
the demand goes high. Like I have to finish 20, which is really not possible. But I used to accept. I was not telling him that it was like the point there was he wanted someone else also to be added to me, and then to get the work done. But these people were like, you're not giving me a billable resource, only you're billable, one person is billable, so we are not going to give. If you give another billable person, we can give that much target.
Mhm.
So I was not communicating to that to the client.
Mhm.
And then the final thing, they were like, in the bell curve, the client has said that you're not communicating, that you are not able to do in a way that is acceptable and get another billable resource, and then they were actually dominating there. That I felt. So
Who?
this
Your
was one
manager.
situation. Yeah, manager, lead. So grievance we go with the manager, right? Like lead,
Mhm.
we'll have
Mhm.
the initial. So
Mhm.
he gives us, and then the reviewer. So
Mhm.
he just shut me in few minutes. I was not able, because the view was quite bigger for me. I was not able to understand the billable point there that time.
Mhm.
So the client wants one billing, but these people want one more billing. That it is impossible. The target is cannot be done.
Okay, so
So that I was not able to understand.
you're saying your manager is dominating, and then even he is not
Yeah.
listening your point of view, and he
Mm,
just okay.
yeah.
Anyone else want to any examples of dominating, even outside your professional experience? Anything from your daily experience?
Sometimes our parents or siblings will be dominating.
Parents also, right?
Yeah.
Any other examples where you can relate the dominance?
Like,
Where you are showing the dominance.
okay.
Is there any scenario where you are saying, okay, I'm dominating in this particular area, in this particular thing, I'm dominating?
Okay, like in real life scenario, if I have a younger brother. So
Mhm.
whenever he has to take some advice from me, he'll ask me. But at the end, he will do whatever he feels like doing. Then I'm
Mhm.
like, first of all, why have you asked me when you are not taking my advice at all? Then I'll keep on pushing him. No, you do that. You have to do this
So you
only.
are trying to dominating in this
Yes.
scenario, right? Okay. So anything else? Any other examples? Anyone?
I
Definitely.
used to dictate. Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, so as a parent, probably we will dominate that even if we are not keeping our things properly. We expect our kids to keep the things in place because we were having other priority work to be done. So sometimes we may keep our bag somewhere here and there, and my kid will definitely ask me that you say that we have to keep our things in the place on time, kind of, but you are not doing it. But I say that you should not be asking the question to me like this because I am your parent. We are your parent. So
we
it's
are
kind of a
dominant. So
domination.
basically, what we are, I mean, in this case, we get what we want, right? But
Right,
the other person, they are not getting what they want.
right.
So this kind of a thing, see, in few scenarios, we can do that. Like, as a parents, you can't dominate in each and every scenarios. As a siblings, you can't dominate, but there are certain situations where we have to do that. So even when we are saying dominating is not a good behavior, it's not a right statement. We have to be understand the situation, and then we will say if someone is really dominating, why they are doing that, right? They might have a certain situations where in those they will do that. But if you are trying to implement this dominating behavior in each and every scenarios, and if this is your attitude, then it will not work, right? Because in this scenario, what you will do is you will only think, okay, I need this. If I am the manager, then if I am planning to do any change in the process, let's take an example. I want all my team members to be in office at 9 o'clock because I am the manager. You send an email, and then you're expecting everyone will be in office at sharp 9 o'clock. This is a dominating nature. If you're doing this, you will not get a support from the team members. They might be in office, they will reach, but they will not be as that much productive or that much focus if they don't like the decision. So same thing, the domination will help. You think it work because everyone in office. So you think you win in this situation, but is this really productive? Are you really getting the productivity to call everyone 9 o'clock in the office? No, right? So that we have to also understand in not each and every scenario, this dominating behavior really work. Then we have one more, which is slightly taking few part of these three, right? This is, and we all are doing this. In even the same example which you discuss, what I'm writing? Compromising.
Compromise.
Right? Where you will say, okay, I will also win, you will also win. Okay, I also get what I want, you will also get what you want. This is the situations which we are trying to do with our family members, with our relatives, with our partners, right? And same situations we will also try to sometime negotiate in our professional career as well, right? To just align somewhere. If you get a rating of 2, your manager, you expecting 4, your manager gave you 2, you will not say, okay, give me 4. You will say, okay, at least I'm deserving 3. Give me 3. What you're doing is you will say, okay, I will also respect your opinion, but you also have to respect my opinion. So we will be mutually agreeing on 3. The same thing we are doing when we are negotiating in for a new offer, right? The new company might be giving you X amount, you are expecting Y amount, and then you will say, okay, let's figure out something in between. If you can't give me Y, then I can only be accepting the offer Y minus 1 or Y minus 2. Right? What we are doing is we are compromising. Now, again, this kind of behavior or this kind of a technique may help in a certain situations, but it should not be your behavior for each and every conflict. Right? Then what is the best? Avoiding will not work, accommodating will not work, dominating will not work, compromising will also not work. So what we will do? Then we have the last one where we also get what we want, but the other person will also get what they want. And in which scenario that will be possible? The only scenario where it will be possible, and that comes in this range, that is, what is this?
Collaborating.
Collaboration.
Collaboration or collaborating. That is the only way we all should do it when we are in any conflict. Now, how we will collaborate, what are the different ways, that we will try to understand. How you should be prepared when you are going with any discussion with your manager about your performance. See, when we are going into the discussion, let me just first stop the screen and then we'll do that. Let's take the same example. When we are doing this discussion of appraisals or rating, right? Where we were focused on the outcomes. We were focused on, okay, why you give me this? I want this. I deserve this. Right? Give me proof why you give me this. I have a proof why I'm deserving better. All right. Instead of that, we should do it in a collaborative way. Okay, you gave me this, but what you're expecting from me and where I delivered, let's do a discussion on that. And then we will see if we both are aligning on this number or not. And then tell me what you're expecting me from the next month or next quarter. And then we will work toward that goal, right? You can't change, and we all agree with this. We can't change in 99% of scenarios, the rating and stuff. But we can change for the future. If you have an issue with your managers, where your manager is intentionally doing that, right? Then how you can work it? Then you will do as much as collaboration you can do that with your manager. If you're doing monthly collaborations, if you're collecting the data every month, if you all are aligning, you both are agreeing on something, then definitely it will improve. Then definitely you will not get, or you will get better next time, next quarter, or next year, what you get, right? And even if they are giving you 2, then they have to justify. They have to justify in every month. They can't, in that case, they can't agree on your performance for the 11th time, and then 12th time they said, no, you are not performing, and that's why I'm giving you. Then they will be trapped in your collaboration. And that should be the approach. Now, how you will collaborate, what are the different steps we should follow, that we will do that. So there are 8 steps which we have to use when we are doing a collaboration or when we are discussing any conflict, right? Now, how we will do that, that we will just quickly spend some time and then we will discuss one scenario. See, I'm going very fast. The reason because these are the topics which needs more time. We are just finishing in 30 to 40 minutes. That's why I'm going slightly fast. But still, if any one of you want to discuss, we can do that offline or things, right? Because these all are the content from my paid workshops, which I'm doing one-on-one. But because I'm sharing with you guys as well here, I have to just wrap up in an hour. Okay, now let's talk about and discuss how we will do that. So I told you there's a 8 step, right? Let's try to discuss step by step. First step, you guys already shared, right? We should be prepared when we are going with any discussions, right? Now, how we will prepare? when we are going into conflict resolutions, we should have the mindset, and that mindset said we should be acknowledge. We should acknowledge the problem. What is the problem we have? Even if it's your performance, right? Now how we will do that? There are few things. You have to just understand, okay, what is your concern for that particular situation? What is the other person's concern? What you need? What's your needs? What's the other person's needs when you are trying to resolve any conflict? And what are the interests you both the parties have? So when you are going with any conflict resolutions with your team members, with your parents, with your manager, you have to be prepared. You have these three things with you. What is the concern? What is the need? And what is the interest you all three have, right? Once you are ready with this is we are calling as a prep. This is the prep of that discussion or the meeting which you are going to set up to resolve the conflict. Now you have all of these things. Now what you will do? Before going into the discussion mode, you have to set up some ground rules. And this is very important for any conflict resolutions. As you said, the definition of conflict resolutions where both the parties are not having any agreement. Now, when you're not having any agreement, when you are discussing something, definitely you need the ground rules. If you don't have the ground rules, then that meeting, either it's a 1 hour meeting or it's a 30 minutes meeting, you can't conclude, right? Now, what are the ground rules we have to set? Now, let's talk about those things. The first thing is no interruption. When we are discussing on the topic, we all should stick to the topic only, and we all should be, if someone is sharing something, we will be listening, right? The listening capability is really important when you are trying to resolve. If you are going in a meeting where you have to resolve, if you're, okay, I have to just fight, I have to just put my own points, and if they will agree or not agree, it's their problem, but I will just present myself. So if you're going with this attitude, you can't resolve. The reason is because we are taking an approach of collaboration. Now, how you can do the collaboration when you are having these kind of behaviors in yourself? The first thing is there's no interruption. Now, what is next? Respect the other person's opinion. Okay. If you are just going in a mode of fighting, you will not resolve. So you have to respect why they're doing this. If you have a conflict with your parents, if you have a conflict with your siblings, try to understand their opinion as well. Why they are not agreeing with your decisions, why they have a conflict, what are the pros and cons of their opinion. You have to just understand that as well, right? So respect, listen, and then react on that. And then the more important is stick to the, or try to address the problem, not the person. This is what generally we are trying to do. When we are going in a discussion, we have a mindset, okay, this is the manager. I'm always having a conflict with my manager. So this will not resolve. So in that case, our focus is on the person. Or if you have a disagreement in any one of your team member, you will say, okay, this is the every week story or every month story. I know this will not resolve. So I'm just going because he set up a meeting, but I know there will no outcome. If you're going with that mindset, then definitely it will not resolve. The reason is because our focus is on that person, not on the problem. But if you have the focus, during the discussion, if you will just try to focus on this, on the problem instead of the person, then definitely you will try to at least collaborate and you will try to get something, right? And when you have a team conflict resolutions, there is very important one is everyone should contribute. Generally, when we have a conflict with the senior leadership, what we are doing is, generally senior team members, they are doing the discussions, and the junior team members, they are just listening, and they will say, okay, I know they have more experience, they will resolve this. But in this case, in that graph which we discussed, what you are doing is, you are just accommodating. You're saying, okay, I know they will do it, they will resolve it, I don't have to add anything. But you might have a better solutions to resolve that conflict. You might have a better opinion. So it's very important. Or if you are a manager, if you have a meeting with 3 team members, make sure all 3 are sharing their experience. They are sharing their thought process on that conflict, why they are having disagreement with you. All right. So you have to make sure everyone is contributing. It's not like that. If you are a meeting of 10 persons, 2 team members are discussing, they are having collaboration, they align, and then we all says, okay, if they 2 persons are aligned, the rest 8 will automatically align. No. If you have these kind of things, that means you are either avoiding the situations or you are just accommodating. Let them win, let them decide. We just need to follow this. This will not help you for a long term, right? Make sure if you have a conflict, if you have a disagreement, you will voice, you will share that with your team, with your managers, everyone, right? These things will come under the ground rules. So these are the ground rules we have. So now your preparation is ready, your ground rules are ready. Now let's talk about the real conflict situation. Okay, now we will say, okay, we know what we have to do it. So we will talk about what are the areas of agreement where we both are agreeing. If it's your performance, where you or your manager are agreeing in your performance, where you are performing well, you also agree, your manager is also, where you are not performing, you also agree with your managers. So just try to first try to look into those parts. Because sometimes and this is a real study, 70% conflicts are resolving with this, where you have a conflict on only one situation or one scenario, but you have an agreement on 9 scenarios out of 10. So there are 10 scenarios, 9 scenarios you have agreement, but only on one scenario you have a disagreement, and that's why you have a whole conflict. So we are only focusing on that one point where we have a disagreement, and we never discuss about those 9 scenarios where we have agreement. But if you change your thought process, if you also talk about, okay, 90% we have an agreement, only 10% we have a disagreement. So let's first talk about those agreement where we have, and then we will see this agreement where we can fit in and can we deprioritize as well. So you have to also talk about the positives of the conflict, right? Then we have the next one, which is, we already discussed in our ground rule, but we have to do it, listen to everyone's point of view, right? When you are doing that, you have to make sure you're also listening to everyone's point of view. Why they are having a different opinion, why you have a different opinion. You already presented your case. Now let's try to listen. Let's try to understand their point of view as well, right? Then what we should not do it when we are resolving the conflict. This is also a step. That step, so 4th and 5th we already discussed. Then we have, what is the next one we have? What are the things we have? Generally we have assumptions. We are only talking about the expectations, right? Or misinformation. Now I will talk about all of these things, right? What are these and why we have to just make sure these things we should not focus. When we have a conflict, when we have a disagreement, sometimes we assumes my approach is fine. We assumes the other person's approach is not beneficiary for the project. So that assumptions is really, really harmful for any conflict resolutions. You have to make sure you're not assuming anything. You have a data points. If you're thinking your approach is better, your opinions approach is not better, you should have some data points to convince this, not assumptions. Don't expect. Sometimes we are going in the conflict resolution meetings with certain expectations, and the expectations which we heard in one of the scenarios, either they will accept, or if they will not accept, I will resign, right? Or I will leave the meeting, or I will never go in any conflict resolution meeting because they are not giving my opinions any value. So because we are going with expectations, don't go with expectations. Just focus on the reasons why you're doing this, what benefits you really want to take it for the future. That should be your focus, right? And then the misinformations is also like, you heard something, someone else shares something about someone else, and then you make some assumptions on the basis of misinformations. You don't have any data source. You says, okay, I know this person will get 4 ratings, I get 2. Why that person is get 4 ratings? Because they have a XYZ reasons. You have a focus on other person's rating on those XYZ reasons instead of your own. So don't, and might be those both the persons have different situations, different scenarios. So don't go with these things are coming as a misinformations, where you heard something from someone but you don't have the real context of that, but you are also using that misinformations to try to justify your point. So don't do that as well. So these are the things which we should not do when we are resolving the conflict. Now we talk about all of these things. Now let's talk about the how we will resolve it. Now we have to align and create a solution where we will agree. Right? Now how we will do that? How we will agree on a conflict with someone? So first you have to list all the possible solutions or scenarios which you can try. How you can do that? When you are, the fourth part we will talk about the listening, right? When you're listening the opinion, when you're listening everyone's opinions, you will create a list. Okay, this person is also said this, another said this, another said this. So these are the 3 or 4 solutions we have. So start or list down those solutions from the discussions, because you are leading that conflict resolution meeting, right? So you have to be prepared with this. Okay, we discuss. Now we have these 4 data points. So let's talk about these 4 data points only. And for all these 4 data points, now let's talk about what are the pros and what are the cons we have. Now don't talk about any of those things. Now you know what are the solutions we have. Just stick to those solutions. Try to pick one, discuss what are the pros and cons we have. Pick another one, discuss the pros and cons. Another one, pros and cons, and then say, okay, now we have all 4, and we have like these much pros in the first one, these much pros in the second one, these much pros in the third one, and we don't have any pros in the fourth one. So we will discard the 4 solution. Now we'll focus on these 3. Now we will get maximum pros on this third approach. So let's focus on this one. Don't discuss these 2. Now only focus on this. How are we aligning on this? Because these are the discussions coming from the agreement, right? Then when we are doing these kind of things, then this is the last one, which is choose. How you will choose the solution? On the basis of pros and cons, right? So that's how we will do that. So next time when you're going in any conflict resolution meeting, make sure you will be preparing these 8 points, right? So this is the mindset. I mean, I'm not expecting from tomorrow on you will do that. At least start working on one by one. Focus on the first one, the second one, then third one, the fourth one, and we'll do that, right? I will also paste it all of these in the chat, so you can also make a notes. Now, anyone have any questions on this? Before we are moving into the real example. Okay, now can we talk about the same scenario which we just discussed earlier, right? The same, the rating of with your yearly rating. Now, how you want to derive it? You all tried, right? Now, after this, how you want to drive it? If you have another meeting with your manager, is anyone wants to try any change in your approach? Anyone? I also shared those points in the chat. You can also use these points. Now, if you are going into
Should we
manager,
add some points over these? That's what you're asking?
no, I'm asking now in the same situation where you're not agreeing with your manager on your performance, right? We discussed the same example when we start the session.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Now, after this,
yeah.
how differently you want to do it? Do you want to do it in differently, or you still want to do it the way you did? I mean, you explained in the earlier of the session. Anyone wants to add
Mm.
anything?
Using this framework, it will be easier to align to our managers in a more composed manner, right? Not getting triggered, or usually we get into mode of defense, or it will be either way. We get submissive or we get triggered, right? So I think when we have so much points to be like under these, then we will be having a better situation there. As you said, having a monthly win-win or monthly talk will make the situation a win-win.
Anyone else want to add on Suganti's points? Now, how we will do your next meeting with your manager? That's
Yeah,
the
so
question.
I understood Chetan about we should be more collaborative way we have to approach. But if the other person is dominating, then how should we educate that person? Or
You can try, right? You can only try. See, you can't change the other person. You can only change yourself. All right. If you know that the other person will not change, no matter how much effort you are doing, you will not get any benefits. So don't try to change the other person, right? Don't try that. Even that's this mistake generally with what we are doing in our personal life as well. We will try to change our thought process of our parents, our partners, our children's, right? And that's the reason, that's the main reason of the conflict, where we are trying to just try to say, okay, I'm right, you are wrong, you have to do the way how I'm doing this, or I'm proposing this. Same thing with your managers. If you're doing monthly meetings or discussions on your performance, and if you're not having any agreement, or if you're not having any alignment, and if you both are not focusing on what is the concern, what is the you both are really needed to resolve those things, then there is no point of doing that. Then you will stop that. Only in that scenario you will choose the options what should be did, right? But that should not be your attitude for each and every appraisal meeting, right? That's an extreme situation where you have to do that. Okay, I already tried for the last 1 year, I'm just doing that every month or every quarter, I'm performing well, I'm getting all those data points I have, but still we don't have any alignment or agreement, we don't have any solutions with my managers. So then there is no point. Then you will just go and talk to your manager's manager, right? And then you will do the same discussions. I mean, that's not the only way, like you have to quit. That just you have to just try to take the another route.
okay,
To just
got it.
align, right?
In
Anyone
fact,
wants to add?
in fact, the goals are also being set just before the appraisal cycle. Most of the times I have seen, and then immediately it is followed by self-appraisal. So we are not working with the goals in mind throughout the year.
So it's whose fault?
Our fault, definitely
It's
be
our
our
fault. It's our fault because for the first 11 months, we are not focusing, we are not thinking about our appraisal. We are only thinking about a month before, because now that's the time when we are getting the ratings. If you start thinking, if you're getting an appraisal in December, if you start thinking in January, okay, this year I need a better appraisal. Now what I have to do it? You don't know what I have to do it, how I can get it. Let's set up a meeting in January itself. I need a good appraisal in December this year. You are my manager. You are responsible for my firm rating. Tell me what I have to do to get a good rating. What are the expectations from my role? Just clear that thing in January itself. Don't wait for the November. Right? And then it's not like that, okay, you discuss, your manager also shared, you did a meeting in January. Now next meeting you're only doing in December. Now let's set up a continuous progress with your manager in every month. And these things are only required every month where you're not happy with your ratings and stuff. In other scenarios, if you're happy, you're getting a good feedback and stuff, you don't have to do every month, but you still do it at least once in every quarter, right? Because might be this year you will get a good rating of 5. It doesn't mean next year you will also get 5. So how we will make sure we are responsible for our own progress, or our right? Our manager or someone else is not responsible for our progress. So you have to make action items. You can't blame your manager why he or she give you the 2 ratings, 3 ratings, or 0 ratings, right? It's our fault because we never try to get the early feedback. So let's try to work on that.
And it also gives an opportunity to raise a bar. What is that we are expecting from the organization and how we can move to the next level. They will set up the roadmap if we want. So I did not have a one-to-one meeting or a monthly meeting. I joined this team like 6-7 months back, and then 3 months I was into Scrum Master thing, and then I wanted to do something for the organization apart from the client thing. So then I sent a mail like I've been here for 3 months. I was into various organization activities with the COP and other things. Like we had a summit, Agile summit, and then I was part of it and other things. But I also want to be, no, moving up the ladder. I want to raise my bar. But it for him it showed up like I was very silent in the meetings. Like we have governance meeting with the client. So he saw that I was very silent. And they were like, you are not talking, but you're doing for the organization. You have to do for my project, my account. And then he gave me some project management activities as well.
Yeah, so we have to, I mean, see that these are the examples we have to do it, right? So we have to set up our bar. We have to ask the things what we are expecting. And don't do it in once in a year. I will say just do it whenever you get an opportunity, right? Don't do the one-on-one with your managers in every month. If you get a time, just connect on every day on a coffee, right? Just do a chit chat of 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Talk about the project, talk about your performance. That will also work. You don't need a 1 hour session or 30-minute session. If you're doing that, that will also help. How much interaction you will do that will help, right? Okay, with this, we are wrapping up the session. Is there anyone else have anything else?
Yeah, I was just thinking, so the whole framework of conflict resolution, it's a certain mindset that you go in with, right? What if your manager is not in with the same mindset or is not open to switch to that mindset? Does this framework still work, and to what extent?
What this framework says, what you have to do it. It will not say what everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So you are doing, see, if you are doing 100% from your side, then definitely you will see some positive outcomes. The other person at least might be 10%, not 100%. Right? He might be interrupting you in each and every time whenever you're trying to portray your point of view. But then if you will stick to that, if you will still listening his point of view, then you can tell him, right? See, I'm listening your point of view. You should also listen my point of view as well. Because it's a collaboration, right? It's not like, okay, if he is a senior and he has to just hijack the whole meeting, then definitely then there is no point of doing that meeting. So this is the one which we will first try to adopt. We will try to practice. Once we are doing that, then we can tell other person, right? You can also do that. Let's try to do this. Let's try to set up something. Okay, guys, tomorrow we have a conflict resolution meeting, and these are the preparations we want. You all have to come up with these kind of 3 things. What is the concerns we have or you guys have? What are the needs you guys have for this team, for this project, or what is the interest we all have? So let's prepare and then come. So what you're doing is you're already practicing. Now you're trying others to also practice the same framework. Right? And then let's see, slowly, they will start adopting the step 1. Then you can go to the step 2. Okay, then you can put the step 3. So slowly it will work. It's not like anything which you can be doing in a one meeting.
Yep, makes sense.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Then thank you. We will meet.
Thank you for the awesome session, Chetan, for
Thank you, Chetan.
imbibing us more insights every week. Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
we
so
will meet after 2 weeks now. It's bi-weekly, right?
Yeah.
So we will meet after 2 weeks on another topic.
I also want to thank all of you guys for making the session more interactive. And it's because of, I don't know, this kind of talks that we are able to discuss. It's making more interesting along with Chetan's. So, yeah, thank you all.
That's why I want to do it. That's why I request everyone to please switch on your camera so that it will be more interactive, right? See, I can also do that everything in the PPT. I can put everything in the 3 or 5 PPT slides. I can just go slide by slide and I can finish in 1 hour. But then it will be not in a 2-way conversation. I want to do a 2-way conversation. I don't want to do a 1-way conversations, right? Because 1-way conversations are not helpful. In that case, half of the audience will be sleeping. But when you have a 2-way conversations, people will be involved in the discussion, and then you will also learn. So I will also learn with you guys, your experience and stuff, right? So it's not only like I'm just teaching and coaching. I'm just discussing few things. Your examples I will quote in some other different sessions or meetings. Some other examples I will quote here. So that's how I'm doing, and I'm improving by session, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much
Bye.
again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.